Just follow your dreams. That's what they say, right? But is it true? Is that actually good advice? Should you just follow your dreams? Should you just quit your job and jump into the unknown? Or should you just stay where you are right now? After all, it's pretty comfortable, right? Well, in 2018, I decided to find out for myself because my dream was to become a travel photographer. And so I quit my job, sold my car, and canceled the lease on our apartment. And we started traveling indefinitely. India, Southeast Asia, Australia, South America, Mexico, United States. We traveled around the world for 2 years straight. But we're a few years later now, and we're not traveling anymore. We're living in Belgium again. Yep, that sure looks like Belgium. We're renting a new apartment, still no car though. So what happened? I mean, does quitting your job and following your dream and passion actually work? Does it change anything at all? Wow, that went from an exciting and uplifting intro to a depressing one real fast, right? But don't worry, because this right here, me staring into the distance, that's just me acting. So don't worry, I am happy, even though I didn't become a travel photographer. Yeah, it didn't happen. Now, if you're watching this video, then you probably also have the feeling that you don't belong, or you're stuck in a job that you don't like and you're dreaming of doing something different. So should you just quit then and chase that dream? Well, maybe and maybe not, because let me just tell you what happened ever since I quit my job and started traveling. And remember guys, I did this when I was 35, with back pains, rusty knees, and according to some people, you should have already figured out your life at the age of 30. I can tell you already, those people are wrong. I'm 39 now and I still haven't figured out everything yet. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time, so, if you're in your 20s, don't worry. Anyway, if you have questions that don't get answered in this video, just drop them in the comments. Okay, let's go. So, I studied photography and I graduated in 2009. Before that, I actually graduated in computer technology, but that doesn't matter right now. I just want to brag a little bit. Anyway, so yeah, and then I ended up in a job as a graphic designer / photographer in a pet products company. And back then, that was the perfect job. I learned a lot. But of course, taking photos of dog toys and designing packagings for cat snacks, that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a travel photographer, a documentary photographer like the great Steve McCurry. That's what I wanted to be. So I decided to work towards that goal in my free time. I traveled whenever I could, a few weeks a year. I worked on projects and I found out that I was actually good at it. My work got published, I won awards. So great, right? Well, no, because the thing was, it didn't really go anywhere, despite all the publications and awards. And then, all of a sudden, I realized that I was already working at that company for 8-9 years. I mean, what the hell happened? Where did time go? 8 years? And the older you get, the more likely it is that you'll experience something similar. All of a sudden, you're 35, 45, 55, and boom. What the hell happened? Where did all that time go? And that's when something clicked in my head. Something like a switch got switched. And yeah, that's when I decided maybe I should just quit my job and start traveling full time. That's the solution. Well, in my head, that was the solution. Of course, I didn't know if it was actually the solution. But anyway, I asked Joanna, do you want to go traveling for at least a year? She said yes, and a few weeks later, I quit my job, then I sold my car, and we canceled our apartment. Now, just so you know, Joanna didn't have a job at the time, so I didn't force her to also quit her job. Just so you know. Now, a lot of people have told me that they find doing something like that, quitting your job and just go traveling for 2 years, they find it scary and abnormal. And it kinda is because very few people do it, but it's funny. Let me show you something. So quitting my job was actually a turning point for me, but until then I was living before that turning point, and from that before perspective, the turning point looked scary because for that turning point to happen, I had to make a decision to change something in my life. But once I was past the turning point, looking back, I realized it wasn't so scary at all. And so that's the problem. If more people would know how changing something in your life makes you feel after you've changed it, more people would do it. And it doesn't have to be quitting your job. It doesn't have to be so drastic. It could be something smaller, like enrolling in a class to learn a new skill or just switching jobs. But people are afraid of change, so they only see turning points from that scary before perspective, which of course keeps them from changing something in their life. So what you have to do is try to look past that decision, past the turning point, and just do it.
Do it! Just do it!
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Shia. I hope it all makes sense. I kind of feel like one of those life coaching gurus, and I'm not a life coaching guru. This is just my experience of life. Anyway, of course, I still had some doubts. It still was a jump into the unknown, but what I did know was that it would be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, for sure. I told Joanna not to worry about anything, I would plan everything, we would spend my savings because I made the decision to quit my job. I was the one who had to make it work. I think it took us 4 or 5 months to plan everything, sell everything, cancel everything, get the right papers and documents, and then the day was there. We set off on our trip around the world. First country, India. And that was it. We were actually traveling now. It was really happening. I was taking photos every day. I tried to come up with ideas for projects, but of course, no money was coming in. I was relying on almost 10 years of savings, but I didn't want to spend everything. I was willing to rely on them for maybe 6 months. You know, give me some time to figure out how to make money while traveling. And before we left, I also had prepared my website, some digital products, things like that. I also started writing a blog when we left. It's still online, by the way. So there was some kind of plan, but no money coming in yet. And in the back of my mind was still the thought of, yeah, like when I had a 9-to-5 job, I was also trying to make money with my documentary photography and my travel photography, but it didn't work, it didn't go anywhere. So why would it be any different now that I was traveling? Well, the difference now was that something had changed in my life. Remember the turning point? And that change disrupted my routine. It pulled me out of my safe bubble. It broke the safe bubble. And what that did was, it changed something in here also. And that had never happened before. All of a sudden, I was trying out different ideas. I was trying to find a way to make money while traveling, and I was actually executing those ideas. Most of them didn't work, but that was fine because I felt like everything was moving, everything kept changing. I felt progress, slowly but surely. And then by the end of year 1, I actually found a way to make money while traveling. Something worked. I started writing articles for websites and magazines about traveling and about photography and cameras. I also sold some digital products. Now, it wasn't my dream job, but you know what? I actually liked it because it motivated me. I was actually making money while traveling now. Now, do keep in mind that I had those savings, 10 years worth of savings, and it was a significant amount of money. And it was also possible for us to leave everything behind, just like that. So I realized that I found myself in a luxury position. Not everyone can do that. And if you try to do something like that without savings, then, I mean, the pressure to make money, it would probably feel paralyzing, right? So I'm all for taking risk, but calculated risks. Have a basic plan. But anyway, what also happened, very important, slowly I started to find out that I didn't actually want to be a travel photographer per se. You know, do assignments for magazines and things like that. Because before that, that was the dream. But now, all of a sudden, my dream was not my dream anymore. What I realized was that what I actually wanted was just being self-employed. Something that had to do with cameras, of course, and also something that I could do from anywhere in the world. So remote work. That was what my dream actually was, but I didn't realize it before. It just took time to find out that that was it. So from then on, that was the focus. I expanded my web shop, I started doubling down on my YouTube channel. I was also still writing articles, so some money came in. Not a lot, but just enough to keep me going and keep me motivated. And there was a clear goal now, not just a vague dream. But it took time to find out. It takes time to find out what you want to do, and sometimes also how to do it if you need to learn a new skill, for example. And even if you think you have a dream, it might not be your dream after all. That's what I learned from all this. And it all started at the turning point. I only started making progress when I made a change in my life. Before that, there was 8-9 years of no progress. Okay, so let's summarize. I quit my job to follow my dream of becoming a travel photographer, and then I didn't become a travel photographer. Here I am now. I'm a YouTuber / video creator. I have my own little business here. I make videos for clients, for companies. I make YouTube videos. It's working and I love it. So should you just quit your job and follow your dreams then? Just go for it. Just do it.
Just do it!
Well, if you can, if you don't have 3 kids to feed, mortgage to pay, a lot of bills to pay, if you can just leave everything behind and go travel like we did, do it. Highly recommended, you won't regret it. But we have to be realistic here. Blindly quitting your job and chasing a dream is not a solution nor an option for most people. But that doesn't mean that you should just stay miserable then. Of course not. I think that a lot of people who feel stuck in a job that they don't like, what they need is change. It was that change in my life that caused the disruption of my routine, and that kickstarted the progress. And making a change doesn't mean quit your job and follow your dream. It doesn't have to be so drastic, but it has to be significant enough to disrupt your routine so that you get pulled out of your safe bubble, so that something in here can change. That's important. As long as something in here doesn't change, nothing will happen. So try switching jobs or try to find a half-time job so that you can spend more time doing whatever it is you think you want to do. And if that's not possible, do something smaller. Enroll in that web design course or pottery class. I don't know, whatever. But you have to initiate change yourself.
Do it!
I feel like one of those gurus again, but yeah, that's what I think. And even if it's a small ripple at first, the change that you make, it will get bigger, and change leads to more change and to better things eventually. And it'll be a long winding path with mistakes along the way, but that's fine. Just don't wait until next week, because next week all of a sudden you'll be 80 or dead.